Thanks for the support as a channel member, Shaz Danks. Well, this is probably going to be the strangest summer transfer window I've ever done because I'm still like 70% certain I'm going to get sacked at some point this summer. Little bit surprised I haven't been so far though, and don't know if the board are going to trust me with any money, even if I do keep the job. This could be weird. Hello, welcome to Club 4, Part 11 of Not Only to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, no idea at all. Absolutely no idea. Anything could happen. All I know is we don't have any money yet. So we're waiting and seeing. I would love for the board to back me. It would be amazing. But we kind of have to work on a business as usual basis for now. So we'll do our season review. That should be fairly quick. It wasn't a great season. And if I manage to stick around for transfers, we'll try and do some good ones. Is that what the best 11 usually looks like? Have they changed the best 11 screen? They've changed the best 11 screen. That must have been part of the new update, and I've not noticed it before. So there's what our all-time best 11 currently looks like. That's the player we're missing. We're missing an Ndombele. If we could get a player like that this summer. He's now at Manchester City, earning less money than Mason Greenwood is earning to be in our reserves. Sancho part of it, but that's for his previous spell, certainly not for the season he's just had. Ali, Kane, obviously, Son is off in Lokomotiv Moscow. Gibbs White in the team as a normal midfield player. Sessignon Milenkovic. Sanchez, who I sold last summer. Walker Peters. That to me shows the absolute dearth of right-backs Spurs have had throughout the life of this save so far, that Kyle Walker-Peters is still considered the best one in nearly 10 years. And then Jordan Pickford as the goalkeeper. That we need, and worryingly, it's exactly what I said last summer. Although last summer we did also need a couple of strikers, or at least one striker, so we kind of did that. But if I manage to do this summer, it's fairly clear, even looking at that, right back and a defensive midfield player of some kind are what is needed. Player of the year, Morgan Gibbs-White. Vindication for playing him all through the year. He is our best player. Hudson-Odoi second, which I can't argue with at all. He was excellent until he got injured. And then Gravenberch third. He's one of the ones where I just don't see how I fit him into the system that I want to play. I don't see how I can fit Gibbs-White and Gravenberch in the same system, because with all the good central midfielders we've got, with Rock, with Gravenberch, there is the idea that we could maybe free them up a little bit in midfield and stick a holding midfielder in behind them. But in doing that, we do kind of remove Gibbs White, Maddison and Dele Alli. I'm going to need a coffee to get me through this episode, which, I mean, it will solve an argument, but they are three of our best players. So I think, who do we sacrifice? Gibbs White or Gravenberch? I don't think we can keep both. Hudson-Odoi scored the goal of the season. We'll have a little look at this one. I'm very much looking forward to him being fit again. I think that will be a big difference maker when he's fit and back in the team next season, because he was just starting to hit awesome levels of awesome when he picked up his injury. And here's an example of him being awesome, cutting in from that right wing and just sticking it into the bottom corner. Wonderful stuff. Rocket's signing of the season, which I find baffling. Absolutely. But I mean, yes, he was a good signing and he's going to be a very good player for us. Looking back, absolutely not the player we needed. But I guess we brought in a very good young player. And Banfalvi, young player of the year, I would have given him signing of the season, because I still think for the quality we get from him, yes, it was a lot of money, but he'll be Spurs captain for years if he sticks around. Team of the season, Pickford in goal, back four of Sessignon, Banfalvi, Van Hoosten and Kawamata, Haidara and Gravenberch in midfield, Sancho, Gibbs White, Correa and Harry Kane up front. Going through the other stats, Kane got top goal scorer, 21 goals, highest average rating and most assists, both going to Hudson-Odoi. Shows how important he was and how critical it was when he got injured. Francisco, best pass completion, says an awful lot. Most man of the match awards tied between Gibbs White and Sancho, which really surprises me, because I look at Sancho, I look at his career, I look at this season. He's obviously had a bad season, but he didn't start badly. he just ended. His head went at some point. Look at those ratings for his last 20 games. He was great when he first arrived, and he's gone above a 7 once in his last 20 games, and it was a 7.1. He's scored once. He's got 1 assist. That doesn't tell the story of his entire season. Something happened with Jadon Sancho to ruin him. And I don't think it was the broken ribs that he got right at the end of the season, or the bruised chin that he got, or even the twisted ankle that he got. He just went off the boil massively. And I don't really know why. And there's your naughty boys club at the bottom. Season review, obviously, it wasn't a good season. Tottenham were expected to be among the leading contenders for a Champions League place, but had to settle for a Europa League spot after a disappointing season in the league. I mean, it was a disappointing season, everything. Getting knocked out of the Champions League at the group stage, 6th in the Premier League, getting knocked out of all the cups. It hasn't been a nice time. But, like I keep saying, if we survive it, we'll be fine. We did that in the last episode. Dynamics-wise, Kane, Ali and Pickford as our team leaders. If anyone makes an offer, I mean, I am tempted to persuade Harry Kane that this is the summer he goes to China to earn a lot of money, just because he's old. You've all done very well to adopt our style of play. No, you haven't, though. We haven't done a good enough job playing in the style we're supposed to. When we return for pre-season, I'll be placing emphasis on getting that to where it should be. I think that's fair. I wanted... we were all disappointed that we weren't able to qualify for the Champions League, but I have faith. No, I'm disappointed. We felt, given how important it is, there'll be some changes around here. We're looking to bounce back in style and win the league. We're not going to say that. We'll say challenging for the league title, and we're going to say it assertively, and that has upset almost the entire squad. So they don't think I'm realistic. I'm sorry to say, but I think I'll be looking to move next season due to our failure to qualify for the Champions League. So that's Banfalvi, Sessegnon, Milenkovic, Pickford, Van Houston, Gravenberch, Maddison, Sancho, Banfalvi, Francisco. Yikes. I don't think that really matters. I will be looking for a transfer next season due to our failure to qualify for content. So also Kane, Haidara, Gibbs-White, Hudson-Odoi, Correa, Fotheringham, Greenwood. So the only players happy are Rott and Kidd. This lot don't think we're good enough. This lot all want to leave. Holy smokes. Yeah, let's just say I'm very confident. They're not happy. Yikes. If the board were waiting to see how I inspired the dressing room for the summer, oh, this is going to be a messy summer. When was the last time Spurs finished as low as 6? I mean, to be honest, look, this is why I'm a little bit frustrated that it's considered underachievement. If we go back to the start of the save, the 1920 season, 5th, 6th, 5th. It's Tottenham, for goodness sake. This is what they do. They had a little purple patch where they had a 3rd and a 2nd, presumably under some genius. Diego Simeone, obviously a genius. But this is we've finished about where we're supposed to finish. Oh dear. Right, let's see if I get fired. I've not been fired, but I've also not been given very much money. Presumably because obviously we've not qualified for the Champions League. That doesn't really give me the money to go out and fix the squad, unless of course there is a mass exodus of players, which I think the summer is going to be very much a case of wait and see who actually puts in a transfer request. Because that's the thing. I'm not just going to sell players for the sake of selling players. But if someone wants to leave, I'm also not going to keep them here. And there are a few bad eggs who I think are causing this. 16 players who are unhappy. Look at the state of that. Oh, no. What am I supposed to do? I have never been in this situation before. Where can we run away to? Should we go and manage Fulham? Oh my goodness me. Right. Why are all jobs on? We just want manager jobs. Bayer Leverkusen looks so tempting, as does Schalke. I can't jump. I've got to show some mental oomph and stick around and finish the job. The Brian Clough method. Make them sack you, because then you get compensation. Oh. We're going to see how this pans out. Just quickly as well, because I might never have the opportunity to show you this again, we have got a couple of channel members who've got some players out of the best youth system in the country. If we sort our under-23s by potential, you'll see Kieran Hodgkinson's in there as an Irish, not yet under-21 international, under-20 international, but he has been called up. He's wanted for a variety of... In fact, Stoke are actually trying to buy him. Obviously, we don't want to let him leave because potential-wise, he's someone who could actually end up being a pretty decent player with 3.5-star potential. So that's Kieran Hodgkinson. And we've also got Ryan Lawson, who's an attacking midfielder who can also play centre midfield and striker, 3-star potential. They both came through the youth system this summer. And we'll keep an eye on them both. They've both got the little star next to their name, so I don't forget who they are. And if they do leave, or I do leave, we'll make sure we shortlist them so we can keep an eye on them. And if you want your own player in the game, let me have a little look at that join button down below, and you can find out how to do it. Now we are going to do some waiting and seeing what happens. Now I'm guessing this is going to be the first of many, so I'm not going to show you all of them, but Hudson-Odoi has come to me. He needs to leave. He needs to play in the Champions League. Let's firstly ask Dele Alli to solve my problems for me, and he can't, so we need to try and convince as many of them to stay as possible, or failing that, at least convince them to go for big money and not have to just sell them or they'll be grumpy. I understand your ambition, so I'm willing to let you go if we don't qualify for a continental competition this season. I think that's fair. So he wants to leave sooner. So this is where we go down the reasonable offer route. He thinks a reasonable offer is 71. I know Tottenham paid about 90 for him. So let's say, actually, I think 90. So if we get an offer of 90 million for Hudson-Odoi, we've agreed to sell him. There you go, 92. So it'll be a slight loss for one of our better players who is just hitting his prime. But I don't think anyone's going to offer £90 million for him. So I think what we've actually done there is just giving him a little tickle under the chin, cheered him up a little bit. Hopefully, does that take him off this horrible list? It doesn't. But hopefully, he now won't get super grumpy and we get to keep him, which is what we're going to try and do with all of the ones we want to keep. Many conversations with unhappy players later, we've narrowed it down to a list of 5 who just aren't having it and don't want to be here. Interestingly, having the conversations with everybody else has massively improved the dressing room atmosphere. So we're back up to a very good dressing room atmosphere. This looks relatively positive. This less so. So all 5 of these, I have agreed prices that I'll let them go for. So Harry Kane at age 33, this is the perfect scenario really, because it's a reason to sell him but not have the Spurs fans on my back because he's forcing his own way out. This is perfect. £38.5 million is the asking price for him. Haidara, again, 29 years old and not the kind of midfielder I want. 62 million, if we can get anywhere near that, that would be lovely. None of these are on the transfer list, but these are the prices that I would expect for them. Hudson-Odoi is the one I would really want to keep. 90 million, though, would be a nice little bit of compensation for letting him go. Jadon Sancho, if we could have the one we got in the first half of the season, I'd love to keep him. Second half of the season, he was completely missing, though. So if we can get 99 million, I'm happy with that. And again, Banfalvi would be lovely to keep him, but he's far too good to be playing Thursday nights. And for £83 million, if we can get near that for him, again, I think we can replace him for that kind of money. So I think that's a bit of a result, only having 5 who are still unhappy. We'll see how that develops for the rest of the summer. Realistically, to be able to bring in the quality of player that I want, if we have a look at our at the players we've got scouted and the kind of prices we'd expect to pay, you're looking at everyone who's going to actually improve the squad. You're looking at spending in the region of £100 million, which we don't have. So to go out and buy the kind of player that I think we need to go out and buy, and I don't want to buy loads, depending on who leaves, we definitely need a central midfielder who can tackle. We definitely need a right back. And if both Hudson-Odoi and Sancho go, we probably need another winger because we can't really go with Maddison, Ali and Correa as our only sort of attacking midfield options. So I think it's doable. I do think it's doable. And I think if the dressing room can get behind me, if these are the bad eggs who ruined my season, and I think it is interesting, certainly with two of them being players that I would constantly get frustrated with because I expected more from them. So it might be as simple as get rid of Kane, get rid of Sancho, and suddenly everybody's happy. The other thing that I've been working on is tactics for next season. We're not actually going to be doing a fluid counter-attack. It's just the first one of 3 that I'm training. But this is going to be our away from home tactic against the big teams. So we definitely need not just a midfielder who can tackle, but an actual defensive midfield player. And we're dropping the gegenpress entirely. And I'm training 2 versions of the 4-2-3-1 for us to use in our home games and games we'd expect to win. So we're training both a tiki-taka and a control possession system, both of them, as you'll see, with different central midfield instructions to what we've been using so far. They're just the standard ones at the moment. They'll probably need a little bit of tweaking, but for now, let's just get them trained. I'm feeling more positive right now than I have done since about October of the actual season itself. So this is probably the point where I'm going to get sacked. Well, we've made it through to the 1st of July. There were a couple of offers for players that came in, neither of them still showing up here. We got like a £75 million offer for Hudson-Odoi from PSG, which we turned down, and he didn't get in a grumpy for. We also got an offer in for... Who was it in for? It was for Gibbs White, which was like a £70 million offer, but he's not one of the ones who wants to leave. So obviously we're not letting him go. We have accepted an offer of our 3rd choice keeper, Shima, and also one of the loans from last year has been made permanent, or is about to be made permanent. I thought it was being made permanent. The centre back who went on loan last summer to somebody. I mean, this is content right here. Who was it? Him. That has been made permanent. Obviously, we didn't get a fee for it. Ah, there you go. In fact, it wasn't made permanent. So he went on loan to Roma and ended up signing for Milan on a free. We've probably dropped the ball a little bit there, I think. But this does get us through to the 1st of July, still with £50 million to spend, potentially another 15 or so coming in from selling Shima. The 5 who want to go still haven't gone. So I think the time has come for me to actually try and get on with some transfer business based on what I've actually got. So if we go looking for a defensive midfield player, I did say we needed a Declan Rice. Declan Rice himself does exist, but I can't pay £200 million for him. Plus, we're supposed to be signing young players. I think the only thing that's kept me in a job is meeting all of the long-term criteria at the club. So we've got to carry on focusing on younger options if we can. So as defensive midfield players go, Luis Vargas, wanted by Liverpool and Real Madrid. That's always a good sign. He can play as a defensive midfielder. He can do box-to-box midfielder as well. Comparison-wise, he would be the best midfielder at the club. Wow, okay, we want this guy. The fact it's a flat 89 million, though, suggests we're not going to get him and it's probably a release clause. Yeah. We don't have £89 million. We're not in the market for that kind of player because we're not in the Champions League next year. So I need to very carefully look through all this. There's no point buying a promising youngster. I mean, he looks lovely, but what's the point of bringing him in when he's not going to get in the team? We do need to sell some of these players. I wonder if at what point we reach the point where we should offer them out. Maybe I try with Kane because Kane and Haidara. I don't mind if it upsets them and they end up going on the cheap. These 3, I don't want them to go. And if they do go, I want to be getting the asking price for them. I want to be getting close to £100 million for any of those 3. But these 2, I think I probably can offer out. I've got to learn the buttons. So offer to clubs for that asking price. They're not going on the transfer list, but I'm just putting the feelers out to see if anybody wants them. Oh, we've had a potential disaster. Good thing, Luis Vargas, the midfielder I wanted, has agreed to join us for £89 million, but a bunch of that is on the never never, so we could afford to do him. However, I also asked for a right back that I wanted. We couldn't afford, so I asked the board to get him for me, and they've gone ahead and signed him before the work permit thing has gone through for the guy I really, really needed. And we've now got no money left. It's taken the entire budget away. I mean, he's a good right back. 19-year-old Brazilian wonder kid. Already played for Brazil. He'll be our best right back. He's a proper attacking wing back. But we need a defensive midfielder more. So now, whereas previously I wasn't actively trying to sell players, it now becomes about, okay, some of these players have just got to go. And I think Harry Kane goes on the transfer list. I think Haidara goes on the transfer list. And we still try and keep the other three. But the board are idiots. Why would it just go through? Give me a chance to delay and wiggle stuff around and prioritise. I wanted the midfielder most of all. Ah! Oh, the world is against me. I offered Sancho out. No interest at all for Jadon Sancho. And now a really low offer for Hudson-Odoi that's non-negotiable. But it would allow us... It would allow us to sign the other guy. Oh, I don't want him to go. But it's very close to the price we agreed. And we need the money. We need a proper midfielder more than we need Hudson-Odoi. And that is sad that we're going to have to let him go because he's been so important. I hope I don't live to regret that decision. Jadon Sancho needs a proper good season this coming year. Right, business is being done now. We've officially sold Hudson-Odoi for 86 million, potentially rising to 96. Jamal Lewis has gone to Southampton. That means as of right now, there's 65 million pounds in the kitty. I'm just seeing how much we need for the Vargas deal. Right, we can ask for confirmation on that one now. Harry Kane still hasn't gone, but will likely be going. So Vargas is in, and we have our defensive midfield player, which is a massive positive. I'm already feeling more confident just from making that change. We'll have a look at the squad in a second, just to make sure I'm not leaving myself short on the wing. But he can play central midfield, but more importantly, an out-and-out defensive midfielder, where he is by far and away the best player at the club. We're still going to bring him in a reserve. In fact, we might be able to bring his reserve in now with this money that we've got as well, because we've still got £22 million knocking around. And we've got the young German that we looked at as well. We're going to bring him in as a backup defensive midfielder. So let's ask for confirmation on that one as well. Harry Kane's now picked up a knock, which hopefully isn't going to get in the way of his move, because I think I'd still like to move him on at 33 years old and earning a lot of money. I think it would be a good idea just to move him on regardless and go with Greenwood and Orlando as our strikers for next year. But that is Adahammer in as well, who is another natural defensive midfield player. Not quite at the standard of Vargas yet, but he's going to be an adequate understudy. Not like to get into the team any further forward on the pitch, but that's fine. I can cope with that. Just do wait with all that. So, money-wise, still money in the kitty. Transfer-wise, Harry Kane still to leave. I mean, there's an argument for cancelling that deal now and keeping Kane. The only issue is, of course, that he does want to go. He's a team leader, the only one of the team leaders who's on their I want to leave list. And bless him, he wants to win a trophy. He's never won a league. But then, to be fair, he's not going to win the league if he goes to Atletico, probably. In fact, I think they won it last year, so he probably would. I'd argue he's probably not surplus to requirements. It's putting a lot of pressure on Orlando. I think if Kane does go, we do need another striker, because going with just Greenwood and Orlando is risky. So what can we do in the way of another striker who might then fall within our transfer budgets? Everything's so expensive at the level we're at. But if we look at our team report, if Kane goes, we are light there. Wide areas, in fact, let's look at it. we'll look at it this way and with the normal tactic as well. So on the right-hand side, we've got Correa, Sancho. On the left-hand side, we've got Sessegnon, Sancho, Maddison, plenty of Dele Alli, lots of... We could maybe do with another right winger. Let's sign another winger, because that's where Hudson-Odoi was playing. So there is method to my madness. Central midfield, we're fine. Defensive midfield, we're fine. Defence and goalkeeper, we're fine. And obviously, if we then switch to this system as well, we're fine as an attacking midfielder. Interestingly, Killian Rott, now by a million miles, the best attacking midfielder at the club. He's done a bit of a Mick Powell. Gibbs White doesn't seem to exist anymore. I mean, do we need Dele Alli, Gibbs White and Maddison if none of them are first choice in their position? We could potentially move one or maybe even two of them on. I mean, Maddison's on a lot of money for a player who's not really going to play for us. So maybe a striker and a right midfielder or right winger if we sell Kane and Maddison or Ali or both. But then they don't want to leave, and it feels a little bit harsh selling the ones who don't want to leave, especially if Sancho could still go. I'd really like rid of Haidara, because I think Haidara is going to struggle to get in the team. He's down as a fourth choice. I've already transfer listed him, haven't I? There is now some interest in him, but he's not going on loan. We need money for him. Suddenly, this summer's picking up a little bit. Harry Kane has gone to Atletico, £28 million. Correa has also gone to Inter for 36.5. I didn't offer him out. They just came in with the offer of 36.5 million. And I thought, you know what? He turns 33 during this season. It seems sensible. Similar with Harry Kane, cash in. Go back to what I know. Getting rid of the old men, signing youngsters. There's been no offers for Maddison or Dele Alli. The squad is starting to look a little bit empty on this right-hand side. And up front, worry not, I have a plan. So part one of the plan is complete. This is a player I've been scouting since I was at Barnsley and obviously couldn't get him because he's awesome. Vargas, 24-year-old Brazilian winger, or should I say inverted winger, inside forward or winger. He can do them all. He is a 4.5-star ability player, a world-class player that we've just bought for £12 million as a replacement for Hudson-Odoi. For some context, look how much better than Jadon Sancho he is. This is absurd that we've been able to pick him up for that price. I tried to sign him back then, but never could. I'm so happy. Varginha's in, and there's going to be more Brazilians to come. Brazilian number 2 is in. João Victor is a central midfielder. Yes, I know he's another one of those that we didn't really need, but he can also play as a defensive midfielder or an attacking midfielder, and he's better than all of the other ones that we've got. So you got to let me indulge myself occasionally. We've got some very good midfield players, and as this squad starts to come together, I'm starting to lean more towards this as a vertical tiki-taka. I've never used one before, but it looks interesting. I like the fact it's got a gazillion instructions on it. It'll need some tweaking, but this will accommodate those fancy midfield players we've got and hopefully give Maddison and Dele Alli the nudge they need to get out of my squad because there's no room for them anymore. I'm talking of no room for them. I know we've still got a lot of English players, but signing all these Brazilians, I probably do need to be careful that I don't sign so many of them we can't register them all. Although João Victor, as an under-21, I don't think we have to register, but obviously it'll be a problem for the future. There you go. Haidara's going on loan for the season. I said I wouldn't send him on loan, but then Monaco offered to pay all his £145,000 a week wages. No one was interested in him, so he's gone. We don't need him. We've just signed his replacement effectively, and that is a very interesting transfer offer. Because if I'm moving away from the 4-2-3-1, the problem is he can play in central midfield and he's our best attacking midfielder. So I'm rejecting it. We don't need to sell him. I also asked my director of football to go find me a striker. So he's looking for one. I've potentially already found one though, which is another Brazilian. So fingers crossed, I'm about to sign my third Brazilian. And here he is, Cal George. Or Jorge, I get, no, because that's Spanish, isn't it? And Brazilians speak Portuguese. I guess it is George. I don't know how to say his first name, but he's at Paris Saint-Germain. He can play on the left wing. We're obviously not going to play him there. We're going to play him up front. He's going to cost us 50 million quid. He's not as good as Harry Kane was, supposedly, but it's another striker to compete with Greenwood and Orlando. And it might look, on first inspection, looking at the squad, that we're a little bit weak for strikers. But Orlando's a Brazilian wonder kid. This guy he went for nearly £100 million when he signed for Paris Saint-Germain. If we just bear that in mind, £97 million he left Porto for. So he's obviously got something about him, although he's not been in their team. And Mason Greenwood is Mason Greenwood, and he's supposed to be one of the big wonder kids in the game. So I think when we look at those star ratings for the... why can't I go back? When we look at those star ratings for the strikers, I think we have to take it with a pinch of salt. Have we already got the problem that we can't register him? No. Excellent. Just bear in mind that it might just be because none of them have been playing recently. So star ratings do take current form into account, just a smidgen. And that's us pretty much spent up. And that is everyone I wanted. That is, as of right now, my squad complete. I'd still like to sell a couple, but that gives us plenty of attacking options, lots of good wide players, lots of central players, defensive. It's a good squad. I did not expect to have such a busy and I think efficient summer. £194 million of players gone, including clearing some of the, I won't say deadwood, but players that didn't want to be here. £234 million spent. We do still have the problem that we've got a couple of players who don't want to be here, but it's not like we've stopped them leaving. No one's wanted them. And there's a couple of players that we kind of don't need. I'm looking at you, Maddison and Ali, really. Although Dele Alli is apparently the best striker we've got now, which Greenwood needs a good start to the season. This squad's looking good. I don't anticipate any more moves unless we get some deadline day offers in for players. And nothing else did happen. Alex Catamol might be leaving on a season-long loan. There's a couple of clubs who've come in with offers for him. But that is our summer of transfers. We would have liked this guy. We had a little look at him as a striker option back when he was still playing for Bayern, but couldn't afford him because we spent our money on this guy. Who'd have thought? We're still the biggest spenders of the window, but our big signing was a defensive midfielder. What on earth have I become? And there is your summary of the transfers. So, new look team without Harry Kane for the first time in about 20 years. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be we obviously need a good start to the season. And worryingly, despite the board looking for Champions League again, the media are still expecting us to finish 6th. So I've not impressed the media very much. We've got one of the best defenders in the division, and we're going to have a very good defensive midfielder sat in front of him. If we can get a good start, I'm quietly confident. I do think I've assembled a good side here, and it will be interesting to see if Harry Kane was the problem, as I speculated he might be. I still think it might have been this guy, but really, he's not a first choice in any position now. If Kidd forces Sessegnon forward, and Sessegnon continually seems to be getting better and better as a winger, Jadon Sancho might just be a bench warmer, which is fine by me. Not tomorrow, we're on holiday schedule. Wednesday's video is going to be very interesting. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.